Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and thank you for tuning in to Canal Algérie's nightly news. Coming up shortly. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, inaugurates several vital projects during his work-in and inspection visit to the southern province of Tindouf. Welcome is given to the head of state by the Tindouf inhabitants while crossing the National Liberation War Avenue. Bringing the Zionist entity before the International Court of Justice at the center of an international conference held here in Algiers by renowned lawyers and law experts. And Morocco once again jolted by protests staged by teachers calling for their basic rights. Welcome back. We begin with tonight's major story, which is the work-in and inspection visit of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, to Tindouf province in the south, which was characterized by several inaugurations and inspections of many vital projects. The roundup of the visit with our own Melissa Kebesh.
Upon his arrival to the province, President Tebboune was accompanied by the Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, Army General Said Shingriha, Interior Minister Brahim Rad, and the Governor of Tindouf province, then proceeded to listen to the national anthem. President Tebboune then reviewed detachments of the PNA's different forces who paid him the honors. The president was received by the local and military authorities before hailing the Algerian aircraft that escorted him to Tindouf province. The President of the Republic also hailed the local managers of the province and that of the region, in addition to representatives of the civil society.
الرئيس اسمع عبارات الترحيب ومعاني الشكر والتقدير إلى السيد رئيس الجمهورية Abdelmajid Tebboune.
Children present at the welcoming ceremony voiced their joy on behalf of Tindouf's inhabitants regarding this visit that will boost development in the province, while reiterating their support to the efforts deployed by the president in terms of restoring the basis of a sustainable development for New Algeria, a leader among the nations.
فضائها الإفريقي والعربي بقيادة رجل فذ مقتدر استرجع هيبة الجزائر في المحافل الدولية ورفع ذكرها بين الأمم وسطر معالم نهضتها ورسم روابط علاقاتها الجديدة في ظل ثوابت الأمة الجزائرية وقيم ثورتها المجيدة.
شكرا. تسمحوا لي نتصور معكم؟
An enormous and a warm popular welcome was given to the President of the Republic while crossing the National Liberation Army Avenue. The Gharj mine was the president's first destination, located at more than 170 kilometers southwest of the province. He was received by the Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, Army General Said Shingriha, the governor of the province, and several members of the government.
بالنسبة للجزائر.
During the presentation made related to the mine and its perspectives, the President of the Republic highlighted the necessity to accelerate the work rate, indicating the importance of this mine that will impact positively the social and economic sectors. President Tebboune also insisted on the need to urge the exploitation of the mine's potentialities so as to cover our need before moving towards exportation.
تفتح آفاق كبيرة بالنسبة للجزائر.
The first foundation stone of the factory dedicated to iron of Gharj was laid by the President. This mine will generate between 4,000 to 5,000 direct job positions for the benefit of the region's youth. The President's second stopover was the Bashar Tindouf Gharj Railway, where he laid the foundation stone of this project and followed a presentation related to it. The President of the Republic insisted on the need to respect these deadlines, affirming that this project falls within the national economic projects that create wealth and job positions. This immense project is considered as an extension to Oran Bashar's railway. It will be achieved in three parts, starting with the one linking Bashar with the 200 kilometers milestone. The second one will link Al Asal to Tindouf province on a distance of 175 kilometers. As for the last part, it will link the 200 kilometers milestone to Asal, Tindouf and Gharj on a distance of 575 kilometers. This immense project is considered as an extension to Oran Bashar's railway. It will be achieved in three parts, starting with the one linking Bashar with the 200 kilometers milestone. The second one will link Asal to Tindouf province on a distance of 175 kilometers. As for the last part, it will link the 200 kilometers milestone to Asal, Tindouf and Gharj on a distance of 575 kilometers. This immense project is considered as an extension to Oran Bashar's railway. It will be achieved in three parts, starting with the one linking Bashar with the 200 kilometers milestone. The second one will link Asal to Tindouf province on a distance of 175 kilometers. As for the last part, it will link the 200 kilometers milestone to Asal, Tindouf and Gharj on a distance of 575 kilometers. This project is the main linking point in the iron production chain in the south of the country, as it will allow the transportation of 140,000 tons every day of pure iron, thanks to the 8 trains in all directions, after launching the first part linking Bashar province to the province of Niabbas on a 200 kilometers distance.
The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, ended his visit to the province of Tindouf. He was seen off at the airport by the local civil and military officials. Justice for the Palestinian people is the motto under which an international conference was held here in Algiers with the participation of high-caliber lawyers and law experts. The participants highlighted the heinous war crimes perpetrated by the Zionist entity against defenseless Palestinians so as to bring the responsibles of this genocide before the ICC or International Court of Justice. More details with Melissa Kebash.
Numerous were the participants in this international conference held under the motto Justice for the Palestinian People, and the objective of which is to work out a strategy to hold the Zionist entity accountable before the ICC or International Court of Justice.
Des actions concrètes.
We are here for concrete actions, and I weigh my words to bring victory for the Palestinian people.
I think it's an adequate reply to the crimes committed by the Zionist entity in Gaza and the entire Palestine, and hail Algeria for organizing this event. You know, Algeria is closely linked with Palestine.
This timely event comes in the wake of a series of workshops held with a view of collecting evidence and documents, be they writing or footage highlighting the war crimes savagely perpetrated against the Palestinian people.
It goes against the Rome Convention, notably Articles 6, 7, 8 and 15. We are here to discuss the possibility of loading an international complaint.
The Algiers conference managed to set up a permanent committee meant to lodge a complaint against the Zionist entity for war crimes, genocide and horrendous atrocities against defenseless Palestinians, funded for themselves during this merciless war ravaging a whole region.
In the same context, the truce between the Zionist entity and the Palestinian resistance has been extended for one more day, amid talks for another prolongation to exchange prisoners and allow the arrival of more humanitarian aid. Ines Killo.
10 Zionist prisoners were handed over by the Palestinian resistance to the International Red Cross in exchange of 30 Palestinians jailed in Zionist prisons, released on Wednesday night. The truce agreement has already led to the release of 70 Zionist prisoners and 210 Palestinian detainees.
I was imprisoned for no reason, and they broke my hand and finger. I didn't receive any medical care until the Red Cross arrived.
The truce agreement also accelerated the entry of humanitarian aid into the besieged Palestinian territories, completely devastated by 7 weeks of Zionist bombings. But the international organizations believe that this aid is not enough and called for a permanent ceasefire in the face of what the Secretary General of the United Nations described as a massive humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. Despite the Zionist entity's violation of the truce, the exchange of prisoners continues, and other exchanges are expected to occur thanks to the extension of the truce by 1 day, a truce that didn't prevent the Zionist entity's army from continuing its aggression against the Palestinian people. The city of Jenin was violently attacked. Bulldozers destroyed its infrastructures and Palestinian homes and properties. The climate of terror was stepped up by Zionist snipers on the roofs of many buildings to shoot everything moving. Yesterday, an 8-year-old child and a teenager were murdered, and another 15-year teenager was also shot by the Zionist army. Surveillance camera images that were recently published on the internet show in a shocking way a child was hit by a bullet, which led other children to run away. The tragic loss of innocent lives, especially the lives of children, is a heartbreaking reality in Palestine, a fact that only Western governments seem to ignore.
In other news, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad, Ahmed Attaf, received on Wednesday the President of the African Court of Human and People's Rights, Imani Daoud Aboud, who is on an official visit to Algeria in order to take part in the proceedings of the 71st session of this African judicial body hosted by our country. During this meeting, both sides reviewed cooperation relations between Algeria and the African Court of Human and People's Rights, as well as the challenges faced in accomplishing its mission and playing its role in accordance with the provisions of the African Charter of Human and People's Rights. For his part, the Minister of Justice, Keeper of the Seals, Abdrashid Tabi, received the President of the African Court of Human and People's Rights, Imani Daoud Aboud, as well as a delegation composed of judges and the court's executives. The Minister of Justice, Keeper of the Seals, Abdrashid Tabi, also received Mary Lawler, the UN Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights defenders. This meeting was an opportunity to review the constitutional and judicial efforts meant to protect and promote human rights and freedoms in Algeria. The UN Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights defenders praised the efforts of Algeria to adapt Algerian legislation to international norms in its opening to human rights mechanisms and the facilitations she was granted to accomplish her mission. The Foreign Minister, Ahmed Attaf, stressed Algeria's total commitment to its deep African aspect and continuation of its efforts for a united Africa, secure and stable. In a speech during the welcoming and orientation ceremony for African interns organized by the Ministry of Training and Vocational Education at the International Conferences Center in Algiers, the Foreign Minister recalled that Algeria welcomed and supported all African liberation movements without distinction and marked its presence in all the stages of the joint African action without exception. Similarly, Algeria remains committed as an active party in the efforts to overcome the challenges of economic development and has taken up the challenge of peace, security and stability at the continental level in general and with its neighboring countries in particular. In energy, and in order to enhance the precautionary efforts by OPEC Plus aimed at supporting the stability and balance of oil markets, Algeria will voluntarily reduce an additional amount of 51,000 barrels per day, starting from the beginning next January until the end of March, in coordination with some countries participating in the OPEC Plus agreement, thus bringing Algeria's production to 908,000 barrels per day. These additional quantities will be returned in order to reduce gradually according to market conditions. On the occasion of the celebration of the 62nd anniversary of the creation of the Algerian news agency known as APS, the Minister of Communication, Mohamed Agab, chaired a ceremony organized by the news agency. Many journalists and personnel about to retire were awarded, while the Spanish version of the APS site was launched as part of its strategy to expand and diversify its services. As for another colonized people seeking independence, the 47th Conference of Yokuku, the European Coordination for the Support and Solidarity with the Sahrawi People, is expected tomorrow and Saturday in Toledo, Spain. It constitutes an opportunity for the participants to stress their support for this oppressed people, especially in light of the intensification of the fight on the ground to snatch Western Sahara's independence, the consolidation of the Sahrawi state, human rights issues, as well as judicial battle against the plundering of Sahrawi natural resources by the Moroccan occupier are all on the agenda. Morocco is still the scene of several protest movements held by the different social segments, including teachers who took to the streets to voice their refusal of the education system, deemed by them as unfair and inadequate since it denies their basic rights. Ines Killu with more details.
In Morocco, the education system is in turmoil. Teachers continue to take to the streets to voice their disgruntled with their increasingly precarious socio-professional situation.
حكومة العصابة كما كيسميوها
The government of Akhanoush is a government of Isaba or band. It's a government of traitors. It continues to deceive the Moroccan people. For 7 weeks, all teachers, men and women, have been going out to demand their legitimate rights. We denounce this growing tyranny, the scandalous high cost of living, as well as the strictest and oppression of public and trade union rights and freedoms. The Makhzen regime must pay for its inability to respond to the concerns of citizens who are exhausted and totally fending for themselves.
Teachers have been protesting for more than 2 months against the system of contracts imposed on them. They are also denouncing the attitude of their supervisors and reiterating their determination to continue their action until their demands are met. They are expressing their refusal to work under contract and demanding their immediate integration.
The teaching sector has been on strike since October the 5th. Faced with the Makhzen intransigence, we will not give up to regain our rights. The authorities have recognized their inability to find a solution to the reform of the teacher's status. While this is going on, our children are still hostages to this charade, and the 2023-2024 school year is likely to be compromised.
Moroccans are fed up. Demonstrations and strikes are affecting several sectors. Demonstrations are staged to protest against the Makhzen regime and demand the departure of Akhanoush.
The Algerian female national team trounced the Burundian side with 5-1 as part of the first leg of the last qualification round for the African Cup of Nations, slated for 2024. This victory gives a great chance for Algeria's ladies to secure their progress to the final tournament before the second leg game to be held next Monday at the 5th of July Stadium here in Algiers. Best of luck to Algeria's ladies. And with that, we end our bulletin for tonight. Enjoy your weekend and good night.